Anyone else in the room? Any questions from the Zoom? We'll start with Andrew from college baseball.
Hey, Coach. So obviously wrapping up your second season with Wichita State now. What are you looking forward to just heading into year 3 with learning experiences this year and last year?
How much time do we have? That's it's a great question. There's a lot going on in my mind right now that's been on my mind for a long time. But I think the bottom line is just evaluating my performance as a head coach. I think a couple of things you have to look at this ballpark and what's necessary and required to win a championship. You've got to have a Friday guy. You got to have bullpen guys that can come in and spin it and throw strikes, and you've got to have left-handed power or guys that can manufacture. And that certainly is something that you see when the wind tends to jet out of here. So I think starting with, is our team built to come into this tournament and make a run? It was last year. It wasn't this year. So really the answer to your question, Andrew, is just the performance by myself as a head coach. I've got to do a better job starting with the toughness of the program. Obviously, I'm excited about going out and making some adjustments from a recruiting standpoint and getting our roster much more athletic. But, everything falls on me. So there'll be an intense evaluation after this season because the expectations are certainly much higher than the performance here. In fact, I wrote down on my lineup card just now, 0-2. I remember this feeling when you're making decisions throughout the summer. And I think that's a really important concept, not only for myself, but for our staff as we're making decisions towards building this program back to where we want it.
Go next to Owen from the Sunflower, please. Owen, I think you're on mute. Just unmute and go ahead and ask your question.
Sorry about that. Hey, Coach. Seemed like you guys were in control of the game until around the 5th inning. How much do you think the momentum shifted after that?
I don't know if anybody was in control of that game. It was a tight game. We had a 1-0 lead. We were no hitting them through 6, and we only had 3 hits, and both pitchers and the staffs were doing a really good job. The zone was great. It was consistent by Joe, and was impressed by that. But, I don't know if we necessarily lost control of the game. I just think it was a back and forth affair, and credit South Florida for grabbing a couple and putting the game on the ground in the short game, and then credit us for bouncing right back. So it was a tight affair.
Owen, go ahead with a follow-up.
And then, we talked yesterday about how the team has felt like they're one and done, the last month of the season. Kind of what's the feeling like right now, knowing that the season's actually over?
I let the guys just take a blow there, and we'll get our breath underneath and meet tomorrow and talk about this. I think emotions are pretty high, and there's a lot of sadness and all those things like it always is when a season ends. So, I know if you look back, and I think if you get our players, obviously disappointment with the expectations of the program going in, and we've got a job to do in terms of getting this thing right over the summer and making sure come fall time, we're making a run to get back here with a more quality effort.
Okay. Another one from Owen.
And then, I guess, how can you use these last 2 games as motivation going into next fall?
I think the motivation really is just when you look at how do we match up in the tournament. If you look at our offense, we've really struggled in this tournament. So we're going to have to do a better job of being able to put the ball in play and all those adjustments that you need to make in the fall, starting with your personnel and then starting with our coaching. So the one thing about that is I think, whether you are really making a run late or you get really disappointed early, I think it's important to really truly evaluate, where the program is. And that's something that I'll do a good job of over the summer. And it's something that I'm in the middle of right now.
All right. Any final question for Coach? Coach, thanks for giving us some time today.
Thank you, Coach.
I appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
All right.